Hello, Magic players and collectors. Welcome back to the Land Library. I'm your librarian, and today I'm doing something new. The start of a whole new series, actually. Originally, this was just going to be a standalone video, not in a series, because it was just like a silly idea. But then I had more silly ideas and thought of a good LL name. So, welcome to Ludicrous Logistics. So back when I covered Modern Horizons 3, it came to my attention that there was a new little card called Trench Post, a third Locust card, and my immediate reaction was, oh, that's a big boost for Cloud Post's potential, because you could tap a Cloud Post for 12 mana now. And then that got me thinking, there's got to be a way to boost that even higher with things like Thespian Stage and Planar Nexus, which was also from Modern Horizons 3. So how far can you actually push it? What's the most mana you can get from a single tap of Cloud Post? And now, I'm going to attempt to answer that question. But here's the ground rules. We're going to disregard bans and restrictions, but otherwise just be following normal deck structure. It's only 4 copies of cards, and we'll keep the decks at 60 cards. This is a one-on-one matchup, and we have no real way of accounting for all of the things your opponent could do, so we're just kind of assuming the opponent isn't like messing up our board with counterspells or destroying lands, but otherwise is more or less playing normal. And we can't really determine how exactly fast they would win without us really doing anything to block or whatever. So we're gonna do a couple of scenarios. First one being like 5 turns, assuming the opponent beats us in 5 turns, and then the second would be an unlimited turns to just see what the theoretical max is. In the 5 turn limit, the biggest problem is going to be the speed at which we can play cards. So we're going to need a strong start and a good way to get extra lands in play. Cards like Summer Bloom or Exploration can really help, but I think the best card for this is Azusa Lost But Seeking. The only problem is to get max benefits, we need to get her out on turn 1, and she costs 3 mana, including a colored mana of green. But luckily, there's a perfect card for 3 colored mana on turn 1. It's Black Lotus. Let's assume perfect luck since this is theory crafting and not an actual match, and the starting hand is going to be a Black Lotus, Azusa Lost But Seeking, Second Harvest, Doppelgang, a Cloud Post, a Planar Nexus, and an Island. First turn, we're going to start with a Black Lotus sack for 3 green mana and spend it all on Azusa. And now with 3 land drops per turn, we'll play all 3 lands in hand. And that's actually it for the turn. That's 3 lands in play on turn 1, and you might be wondering how we're going to keep getting enough lands to make Azusa worth it. We only draw 1 card per turn. Well, let me introduce you to Ancestral Recall, a very banned 1 mana card that lets you draw 3. But remember, we're ignoring bans, and we also have perfect luck. So we top deck an Ancestral Recall every turn, giving us 3 draws per turn, which just so happens to be the number of land drops available. So turns 2, 3, and the beginning of 4 will all just be draw an Ancestral Recall, tap the island for a blue mana, and then cast Ancestral Recall to draw 3 cards, all of which are lands, and then drop all 3 lands. It doesn't really matter what order the lands come in, as long as we get everything we need by turn 4, which is 3 more Cloud Post, 2 more Planar Nexus, and 4 Vesuva, which will all come in as copies of Cloud Post. But here on turn 4 is where it gets a little different. We're finally using the spells from the opening hand, Doppelgang and Second Harvest. First though, let's take stock of the lands. There's 4 Cloud Post, 3 Planar Nexus, and 4 Vesuva copies of Cloud Post, for a total of 11 Locust lands in play. That means each Cloud Post can tap for 11 mana, and with 8 in play, we can tap all 8 of them for 88 colorless mana. Now we just need to tap all 3 Planar Nexus to color fix 3 of those mana into 1 blue and 2 green, leaving 85 mana left over. And we'll use 84 mana along with green and a blue to cast Doppelgang with X at 28. All of this is a bit overkill though, since there's not actually 28 valid targets, only 13. And we also don't need to copy Azusa or the island, so let's just cast it with 33 of that mana instead, and make token copies of all Planar Nexus and Cloud Posts, bringing us to 22 Locust lands in play. Then with new copies of Planar Nexus, we can color fix another mana to green, and with the 2 green and 2 of the leftover colorless mana that we definitely have a lot of, we can cast a second Harvest to copy all of the token copies we just made, giving us another set of 11, which is 8 Cloud Posts and 3 Planar Nexus, for a total of now 33 Locust lands, and 24 of those are Cloud Posts. Now for turn 5, it starts with, of course, drawing an Ancestral Recall, and then tapping the island to use it. But this time, we're going to get a Mana Reflection, another Doppelgang, and a second Harvest. Leaving at least one Cloud Post untapped for the final tap, we can tap up to 23 Cloud Posts at 33 mana apiece, meaning we can make 759 colorless mana. Of course, we don't need that much, but we color fix 4 with some of those planar nexus, and we actually just need specifically 99 of the mana to copy all 33 locust lands into 66 locust lands, with 55 being tokens. And then Second Harvest copies another 55 tokens, giving a grand total of 121 total locust lands in play. And now, with even more planar nexus in play, we can color fix 2 more mana and use 4 of the hundreds of leftover colorless mana to play the Mana Reflection, doubling the mana output and letting us tap that one remaining original Cloud Post for 242 mana in a single tap on turn 5. I don't know if it's truly the max potential, so if you can come up with a better combo, let me know in the comments, but that's the best I came up with. And now for the unlimited turns. With unlimited turns, we don't really need to worry about draws and ramp, so say goodbye to Azusa and Ancestral Recall, and instead say hello to more copying cards. We will be able to get our mana fixing from Planar Nexus, and as evidenced by the 5 turns, we'll have more than enough colorless for any other costs. So I won't go over all of the mana generation, and let's just see what else we've got going on before we get to the numbers. We're bringing in the other Locust lands, Glimmer Post and Trench Post. We're bringing in Copy Land, Thespian Stage, Echoing Deeps, Rebuild the City, Morite of the Frost, Replication Technique, and Doubling Season. Starting off the game with the first 4 turns, we're going to play a Trench Post and then 3 Thespian Stage. We need to keep these as Thespian Stage so that we have enough mana to actually pay for Trench Post, but we only have 1 Locust in play, so we only mill 1 card. Once all this is in play, we're going to target ourselves with Trench Post and mill 1 card, which, since we have perfect luck, is a Cloud Post. This 1 Cloud Post being in the discard means that Echoing Deeps can copy it, giving us a net gain of 3 because we're sacrificing 1 to get 4. And with that 1 mill out of the way, we can start dropping Locust lands and turning the Thespian Sages into Cloud Posts. So let's jump forward to when all the lands are played, and we'll talk about the numbers. So we've got 4 Planar Nexus, 4 Glimmer Post, and 4 Trench Post for non-Cloud Post Locust lands, and 3 natural Cloud Posts, along with 4 Vesuva copies, 4 Thespian Stage copies, and 4 Echoing Deep copies of Cloud Post. That's 27 Locust lands, with 15 being Cloud Post. Now to start playing some spells. Starting with the static number copiers, because the more we start off with before doubling, the more we double. We're going to add 4 more Cloud Posts with Copy Lands, and 1 copy of Cloud Post with Morite of the Frost. Then let's drop some Doubling Season. These actually stack on each other, meaning every token we make gets a times 16 multiplier, and although not necessarily needed right now, we'll still drop our 4 mana reflections here too, for a 16 multiplier on mana as well. Taking stock, we have 32 Locust lands, of which 20 are Cloud Post, and with a times 16 multiplier to mana, that means tapping all those Cloud Posts, and I guess the other Locust lands, we get a total mana output of 10,252 mana, which I think is probably enough to cover a doppelgang of 32 targets. But wait, we still have a couple of other static number token makers first. Replication Technique makes 1 token, but with 4 copies and a times 16 multiplier, that's 64 extra token copies of Cloud Post. Next is Rebuild the City, which makes a base 3 tokens apiece for an extra 192 copies of Cloudpost, totaling 288 Locust lands in play. Now it's time to start doubling. With the previously mentioned Doppelgang, even without all the extra mana from the 256 extra Cloud Posts, we already had over 10,000 mana total output, which is more than enough for the 288 targets, which needs 864 mana to replicate. And since we know that the new copies will produce exponentially more mana, let's just jump ahead to when all 4 copies are played, and the doppelgangs basically just stack to a times 16 multiplier with a times 16 doubling season for a total multiplier of 256. So we take our base 288 and times 256, we get this staggering 73,728 total Locust lands in play. But we're not done yet. We've still got Second Harvest, which drops another 256 multiplier, but only on tokens, which barely makes a difference because there's only 32 original cards, leaving us with 73,696 token copies to work with. So, 73,696 times 256 gets us up to 18,866,176 token copies. And can't forget those original 32, so it's actually 18,866,208 total Locust lands in play. Damn, that got absolutely ridiculous, but there's actually still one more thing we can do to make it even bigger. Cloudpost makes mana equal to number of Locust lands in play, but that doesn't mean you have to control them, which means that if your opponent plays an exact mirror match, you can double that, and you get 37,732,416 Locust lands in play total. And that's actually a little misleading, though, because Echoing Deeps does something very similar, where it copies a land in any discard. So your opponent doesn't actually have to do an exact mirror match and gets one extra copy of Cloudpost that they didn't discard. And how much could that one extra copy be, though? Well, quite a bit, because it still gets hit by the 256 from Doppelgang, and then 255 of those get hit with the 256 from Second Harvest, for a grand total of 65,281 more lands, getting us up to 37,797,697 total Locust lands in play. And that means we can finally tap our Cloudpost for that final total of Locust lands times 16 because of Mana Reflection, ending up with one singular tap of Cloudpost, generating 604,763,152 colorless mana. So I've actually got a little bit of a confession to make. I'm wrong. The max number is not the 604.7 million, because I actually found out this past weekend at the Tarkir Dragonstorm pre-release, there was a new card called Elspeth that I pulled. It's reversed on the camera because of the camera angle, but it doubles tokens, which means that at least some of those numbers should be doubled. And I didn't know about this card. I scripted this video kind of a while back. I've been working on it, and I didn't want to redo the whole video for this. But there are more cards that can make that number even bigger. So if there's enough interest, I might do like a Cloudpost Part 2 to include newer cards, or just do maybe a more thorough search, because I'm probably missing something. And I did actually make the deck with 3 extra spots still, like, because I said, oh, we'll keep the decks at 60, but I actually only used 57 cards. So there's definitely more potential, but I'm not going to rescript the whole video because I need to get this video out, so it is what it is. There's more. I'm wrong. Oh well. I hope you liked this sillier video, and if you've made it this far in the video, please drop a like return and subscribe for more land-filled content. If I missed anything, got anything wrong, or you just have questions, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.